Tsumeb safe? Is it from our current practices, or are you talking from a historical point of view? If you talk from our current practices, yes, I will tell you it's safe, given one or two things, as I mentioned, like the sulfur dioxide emission. However, the sulfur dioxide emissions is short-term, and it's not a longer-term effect or on health, as a case in point. When it's out there in the air, the irritation is, as people experience, it's a short-term irritation of short of breath or not be able to breathe because of the thing, but it doesn't have long-term effects. However, when it comes to the water or our current activities, most of the activities is localized and contained on site, and that's why we've got different monitoring programs in place in order to mitigate those negative impacts. And yes, we are aware of our aspects and our negative that will lead to negative impacts, and we're addressing them. However, we need to be mindful that throughout the years, before Dundee Precious Metals took over the current smelter, there have been previous pollution from the previous, owners of the site that we bought. And of course, there have been some runoff, there has been some soil contamination, dust fallout, but there have been studies which have proven that the contamination is, like, as an example, in a radius of 1 kilometer from the current smelter complex. And throughout the year, with the ceasing of mining activities, some of the contamination have also reduced in the soil. As a case in point, there are farmers about 3 kilometers from the smelter complex that are involved in irrigation, that are involved in small stock rearing of animals like sheep, and none of them have complained to the smelter that the animals are deformed, or when they go for test to the abattoir, there are traces of trace elements, as a case in point. We don't have that at the moment. We haven't experienced that. However, one thing, when Dundee Precious Metals bought over the smelter, they advocated for a buffer zone, which is basically what it means is government should not allow businesses or abattoirs or agriculture in a buffer zone of about 1 to 1.5 kilometers from the smelter complex, because of the historical fallout and contamination of the soils. And this because Dundee Precious Metals conducted some studies. They got consultants, independent consultants, to conduct studies, and they have picked up these heavy metal concentrations into the soils. And that was not caused by Dundee Precious Metals, but the previous owners of the smelter complex. And that was communicated. However, as a case of, if you go to Tsumeb right now, out of this buffer zone, or sometimes in the buffer zone, there are people operating in the buffer zone. However, I do not want to exempt ourselves, but we gave our information, we did our studies, we passed this on to the ministry, so the onus is on our government to assist us in order to advocate and to also to educate the people that some of the soil, yes, they do have trace elements from historical mining and smelter activities of the current smelter.